Tonight, the former soldier jailed for spying for Iran. At his sentencing, the judge said Daniel Khalif exposed military personnel to serious harm when he passed information to foreign agents.
When you joined the army as a young man, you had the makings of an exemplary soldier. However, you showed yourself to be instead a dangerous fool.
Also ahead, the fight to save Thames Water going under ends up at the High Court. Plus,
honestly, you guys are stupid and white.
Okay.
The Chelsea striker Sam Kerr on trial for alleged racist abuse. And
I'm at London Zoo, where they're taking a leap of hope with some frogs and hope to save a special species.
Good evening. A former soldier whose own mother said he lived in a fantasy world was jailed for 14 years today after spying for Iran and escaping jail. Daniel Khalif sparked a nationwide manhunt after going on the run from Wandsworth Prison. Today, a judge described the 23-year-old as a dangerous fool with a selfish desire to show off. Even Khalif's own lawyer said the amateur spy's plot was hapless, with more in common with Scooby-Doo than James Bond. From court, here's our correspondent Simon Harris.
Most self-respecting spies try to keep a low profile, but when Daniel Khalif travelled to Istanbul to meet his Iranian handlers, he filmed himself on his phone. But then even his own lawyer described his hapless tradecraft as more Scooby-Doo than 007. And today, Khalif's inflated opinion of himself was punctured by a judge who sentenced him to 14 years in jail.
The mere fact that you started on this dangerous and fantastical plan demonstrates your immaturity and lack of wisdom. That you thought it was appropriate to insert yourself, an unauthorised, unqualified and uninformed junior soldier, into communication with an enemy state is perhaps the clearest indication of the degree of folly in your failure to understand at the most obvious level the risk you posed.
Khalif's spying began when he was a 17-year-old new recruit to the Royal Signals, the Army's battlefield communications experts. He had ambitions of being in military intelligence, but was rebuffed by a senior officer who said his Iranian ancestry would be a problem. So he offered his services to Tehran, photographing sensitive equipment and compiling a list of soldiers in the Special Forces. But when Khalif called MI5 volunteering to be a double agent for Britain, he was arrested and charged with spying and terrorism offences. It was while he was on remand in Wandsworth Prison, working in the kitchen, he broke out by clinging to the underneath of a delivery van. He was on the run for 3 days, sparking a huge manhunt. The police overtime bill alone came to £250,000. Khalif was finally caught on a canal towpath in West London. At Woolwich Crown Court today, his past caught up with him as the judge outlined his crimes and announced his punishment. For most of the judge's remarks, Khalif sat in the dock expressionless. But when she said he had a narcissistic and antisocial personality disorder, he was untrustworthy and unreliable and an attention seeker, he began to rub his eyes.
Stand up, Daniel Khalif. When you joined the army as a young man, you had the makings of an exemplary soldier. However, through the repeated violation of your oath of service, you showed yourself to be instead a dangerous fool.
Tonight, Khalif is understood to be in Belmarsh. It's London's maximum security prison and said to be the country's toughest. Simon Harris, ITV News, Woolwich.
Next tonight, it is a big week for Thames Water, whose dire financial situation is being heard at the High Court. The company is drowning in debt and needs even more money to keep going. The figures are eye-watering, and some believe it's time the government took control. But water bosses disagree and warn they can't be allowed to run out of money. Cafe Patter has more.
Take back the Thames!
People are angry at Thames Water and the way it does business.
We have an extreme privatisation experiment in England, and Thames Water is the poster child for why it does not work. Its debt is unaffordable, it's polluting our rivers and seas, its infrastructure is a risk to the health of people in London and the wider Thames region.
Today, the water company makes what could be its final plunge for a lifeline, a public bailout, or it risks public ownership. At this very moment, Thames Water are making their case for an additional £3 billion in funding, but not everyone here agrees. They say there's been too many problems for far too long, and it's time for nationalisation.
They're kind of ripping off the public by asking for this bailout. It's not fair on us.
We cannot allow this hugely failing water monopoly to keep control and keep taking our money. We've paid once, we are not going to pay again.
It's been a perilous 4 decades for Thames Water, ever since it was privatised in the 80s. In 1989, its privatisation journey began on calm waters with zero debt. Then in 2017, it announced a whopping £10.5 billion debt. In July 2023, shareholders promised a £750 million cash injection to turn the tide. But a year later in March, the first £500 million of that promised injection was withheld because Thames Water failed to live up to its end of the bargain. In December last year, the regulator, Ofwat, approved a 35% bill hike over a 5-year period, even though Thames Water had asked for a 60% increase in order to survive. And now they're here with their begging bowl, asking for more money. But some MPs say enough is enough.
We ought to be putting the money into sewage treatment works and networks so that we can actually start fixing our rivers, as opposed to just continuing this cycle that began under Conservatives and is now continuing under Labour. It's really disappointing. Awful.
Whoever ends up running Thames Water has a mammoth task ahead of them. This leak today in Shepherd's Bush is indicative of the problems plaguing the network. Problems which, regardless, will need money to fix.
Kath, what might this mean for water bills then?
Well, Duncan, the company is in serious debt, something to the tune of £15 billion. They're hoping this £3 billion will give them some breathing room to restructure their debts, start paying some of it off. Julian Gething said in court today, he's from Thames Water, he said, our plan remains the only implementable solution to putting the business on firmer financial footing. Its approval will not affect customer bills, but will unlock billions of pounds for investments in our network, fixing pipes, upgrading our sewage treatment works, and maintaining high-quality drinking water. Now, Duncan, and it's a big if the courts accept this argument from Thames Water, it won't be a present, it won't be a gift. They'll have to start paying it back, presumably with interest. Some people fear that the only way they can feasibly do this is by raising bills.
OK, Kath, thank you. A man from Mitcham has been jailed for life for the murder of his ex-girlfriend. 24-year-old Hussein Harron climbed through the window of an address in Croydon and stabbed 29-year-old Felicia Cador in June 2023. The victim died in hospital 5 days later. Harron has been handed a minimum term of 20 years behind bars. And Newham Council has been granted permission to raise its council tax by 8.99% next year, one of the highest jumps in the capital. The council said it was down to exceptional challenges facing the borough, most notably the cost of housing people in temporary accommodation. It added that the proposed increase will still leave Newham with the 7th lowest council tax in London. A court heard today how Chelsea striker Sam Kerr told police she and her partner broke the rear window of a taxi because they felt trapped and very scared after the driver refused to let them out. The 31-year-old is on trial charged with causing racially aggravated harassment to a Metropolitan Police officer. Will Tullis has been following the case for us. Well, what did we hear in court today then?
Yeah, so Duncan, this all relates to an incident that took place back in January 2023 when Sam Kerr and her partner, West Ham's Christy Mewis, are alleged to have refused to pay clean-up costs after one of them was sick in a taxi. The taxi driver then claims he drove them to Twickenham police station and that the pair broke the car's rear window. Well, on arrival at the police station, Sam Kerr is said to have been abusive and insulting towards a police officer, as you can hear in this footage. Let's take a listen.
Honestly, you guys are stupid and white.
Okay.
I'm looking you in the eyes.
Why are you
I'm looking you in the eyes. Like that's stupid.
So if you didn't hear that clearly, Sam Kerr called the police officers stupid and white. The prosecution today said PC Stephen Lovell, who the comments were aimed at, was left shocked, upset and humiliated and said his race had nothing to do with anything in the matter. And Sam Kerr, who is Australian and of Indian heritage, has already pleaded not guilty to the charge of causing racially aggravated harassment. And her lawyer said nobody disputes the words that were said, but simple words do not make you guilty of a criminal offence. And Sam Kerr also said at the time of the incident that she and her partner felt trapped and scared when they weren't let out of the taxi. Well, her trial continues tomorrow, with PC Lovell set to be cross-examined by the defence.
OK, well, thank you. Two famous names from the world of fashion have teamed up to warn about a rise in cases of a previously rare type of cancer. Dame Zandra Rhodes was diagnosed in 2020 with a form of the disease that affects the liver. Together with the photographer Rankin, the designer is highlighting the stories of two Londoners living with the shock diagnosis and warning others not to ignore the symptoms. Here's Sangeeta Kandola.
It was amazing, wasn't it, really? It was an absolutely fun-filled day. I mean, to be photographed by Rankin was phenomenal.
Then we found out that Zandra is going to be in it and other patients that we've met.
It was just a lovely moment, and for everybody to be there for the same reasons.
And that is to raise awareness of cholangiocarcinoma. These two Londoners, Iona and Judy, have been living with this little-known liver cancer that is often missed, misdiagnosed and managed too late.
I was diagnosed, I didn't even know about cholangiocarcinoma. I didn't know it existed. So my symptoms initially were just back pain every now and again, really tired. I went to A&E. And that's how I got diagnosed. Initially with gallstones.
Went back and forth to my GP and my consultant for a number of years with those symptoms. Finally, I broke down, and I remember I actually begged him to do something. He grudgingly operated. And when I woke up, they said, "We're really sorry, it's terminal. You have under a year to live."
That was in 2018. That day, Judy went home and online and stumbled across cancer charity AMMF, who pointed her in the direction of clinical trials and treatments for the disease that she says most medics don't realise is out there.
And immediately I was like, so there is a pathway. There is an alternative pathway. So why didn't I know that? Why wasn't I told that? You know, and I think the same is for a lot of people, you know.
Patients diagnosed with duct bile cancer are often told if surgery isn't an option, there isn't another pathway. But consultants who are specialising in this particular type of liver cancer say with new cutting-edge technology they can offer targeted therapy.
If you do happen to have this cancer, you must insist on having a genetic profile done on a machine like this one. Up to about 50% of people have a gene that we can hit.
As part of the AMMF's campaign to raise awareness about this liver cancer, Iona and Judy will be heading to the House of Commons later this month.
I think MPs definitely have the power to, at least make that change.
The AMMF's campaign is using high-profile patients like Zandra Rhodes to help shine a light on liver cancer. But they hope the light shines brighter on the treatments for those that need it. Sangeeta Kandola, ITV News.
Still to come on the programme, how a new version of basketball is aiming to get more children active, and
I'm at London Zoo to meet some very special frogs, although this story is less Princess and the Frog and more woman in unattractive oversized suit and 53 frogs. I'll fill you in very soon.
But first, a new campaign aimed at tackling a worrying rise in sexual harassment on public transport. The British Transport Police says reports of offences against women and girls on trains are on the rise. To help tackle the problem, Greater Anglia invited passengers at Liverpool Street to use virtual reality headsets to experience what it is like to be on the receiving end of unwanted attention. Hannah Pettifer reports.
Travelling into London Liverpool Street, tales of women feeling unsafe on the railways and people turning a blind eye.
Because the harassment here is not that direct. It's more like looking at you for a long time and you start to feel uncomfortable.
Some people are really not bothered as well. Sometimes they've looked, but then they've like, who am I to step in and say something?
It's attitudes like this that Greater Anglia and the Rail Delivery Group are hoping to address with their new campaign. making people aware of what constitutes sexual harassment and empowering them with the knowledge of how to deal with the situation. They've produced 3 virtual reality scenarios, all on the train network, of women being harassed. Passengers today could view them as if they were the victim.
Why are you staring at me?
I've got a teenage girl, and I've heard my wife give her narrative of how things can be as a woman, particularly in public, where I think I've got a blind spot to it.
I think it's really good to have accountability with your friends as well, to tell them to stop.
It's quite frightening for the youngsters, and a lot of them, they're not aware of what could happen.
Right at the top.
One of the intervention techniques shown to work is distraction.
In that scenario, there's a woman on the platform, it's quite quiet, and a male passenger comes over and starts questioning that customer. Another passenger sees that and is able to come over and just ask 1 or 2 other questions just to break that situation up.
According to the British Transport Police Authority, violence against women and girls on the railways has risen by more than 50% over the past 2 years. The number of sexual offences have also increased by 10%, while reports of sexual harassment over the same period have doubled. British Transport Police says the numbers are in large part down to increased reporting. They also target specific routes.
We identify hotspot locations where there's high reports of this type of behaviour, and patrol strategies are put in place to put officers in the right places at the right times.
With better awareness of sexual harassment and by giving people the tools to intervene safely, Greater Anglia says its aim is to ensure all passengers feel safe when travelling on their network. Hannah Pettifer, ITV News, London.
Next, basketball is one of the nation's most popular team sports, and a revamped version of the game is pitting London schools against each other. In a new competition, smaller teams will play on smaller courts for less time than usual. It promises to be fast and furious, and perhaps most importantly, aims to get teenagers off their phones and playing sport. Here's Anton Allen.
Could these young people be future Olympic basketball stars?
I'm enjoying it right now. Like, the coaches there, they give a lot of inspiration, and the environment's really good right now, so it's really fun to be here right now.
This is b-ball, but not as you may know it. 3v3 basketball has been an Olympic sport since Tokyo 2020. Today, the half-court version of the 5v5 basketball is being used to help children in the capital get fit.
So far it's really good. We've done the warm-up. I feel more energized to carry on playing.
I feel like it's a good way to even socialise, because you can make friends easily while just going to the park and playing a match.
It's just a fun environment. It's a great sport to play.
The special guest coaches for today were Team GB stars. Ashley Hamilton was the first professional 3v3 player in the UK. His journey started at his secondary school in Croydon. He hopes these young people benefit from the same opportunity that changed his life.
I think it could be big time. I think whenever you can see people that like you doing things like on the big stage, it's very inspiring. So, I mean, a couple of years ago we won the men's won the gold medal in the Commonwealth Games, the women's won the silver medal. This summer we finished in the quarterfinals of the Euro Cup. You know, we have the ability to really perform at a high level.
The team behind the London Marathon and the National Basketball Association have launched a new programme to help schools in the capital tackle obesity and increase physical activity. The programme includes a free junior NBA 3v3 competition for secondary schools. The London Marathon events believe sport can help young people's mental health.
Sport and activity can reduce that anxiety. It releases dopamine, it releases good energy in your body, good energy in your brain, and the more that we can get kids active, get them off screens, get them out playing 3v3, the better it will be.
3v3 will be at the LA 2028 Olympics. With dedication and maybe a growth spurt, some young people from the capital could be on the plane. Anton Allen, ITV News.
Now, as members of the military, my guests tonight love a challenge, and they don't get much tougher than this.
Good job, guys! You done it! 2,000 miles! Yeah! You done it!
Rob Cross and Rob Treasure, along with a third soldier, took on an epic adventure in the Atlantic. They braved strong currents, Saharan dust, and the daunting prospect of a 3,000-mile journey to become the first military trio to row any ocean. and their incredible effort caught the eye of royalty too. Two of the Robs are here with me now. Welcome to you both. I mean, what a journey, 40 days, wasn't it, from the Canary Islands to Antigua. I mean, that's an epic journey.
Yeah, we were just talking about it there and looking back at the video and everything. It sounds strange, but to us, it's a thing that we've done. We've had amazing support, and there have been incredible people all along the journey. And we've had a lot of amazing messages saying, fantastic, well done, you've done this thing. But to us, I think it feels like a bit of a dream, to be honest. And to be sat back here now with the cold outside and everything, it's very different to what it was like out on the boat.
So let's get into the logistics, other Rob. I mean, how do you do it? Food, water, and going to the loo. Those are my main concerns.
Of course. So food, we've got a desalinator on board the boat. We turn seawater into fresh water, and then we fill up some jerry cans and then boil that water in a jet boil, put it into thermos flasks, and that will fuel us for 24, 48 hours into freeze-dried rations, so dehydrated. Try and keep the weight down as much as possible on the boat. And then the loo's just a bucket, I'm afraid.
OK, no elegance out at sea.
Yeah.
What about the relentlessness of doing it, though? Because you're rowing in shifts, there's no escape. I mean, it must be quite a hard toll to take on you.
I think that was the thing for us, because we're rowing 2 hours on, 1 hour off during the day, 3 hours on, 3 hours off at night. So it was the relentlessness that I think was the toughest part for me. But at the same time, you know that rowing is the only option, and if you're not rowing, then you're letting your muckers down. So, in fact, it was quite a simple existence, because all you've got to do is row, eat, and occasionally sleep.
Just got to keep going. You're away for Christmas. Let's have a quick look at that.
As the sun starts to set, Christmas on the Atlantic, and we finish off the final pieces of Christmas cake. We have been blessed today.
I love that you made space for hats and cake.
Oh,
the important things.
Got to be done.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah.
I mean, I suppose helping you with this, part of the inspiration was how your father was cared for when he was dying. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't have a particularly long time between Dad being diagnosed and him passing away. But the time that we did have, again, one of these bizarre journeys that you never think you'll find yourself on, but when you do, these incredible people appear from nowhere. And certainly part of that was the care that Dad received in some aspects, but then also the way that the community came around him and all of that. And we've experienced a very different sort of journey, but a similar sort of thing with people around us.
As you said earlier, lots of messages of support for what you've done, including royalty.
Yeah, we've been incredibly fortunate. So Queen Camilla is the regimental colonel for the Rifles, and His Royal Highness Prince William is regimental colonel for the Welsh Guards. So they very kindly sent us letters of support, which is pretty overwhelming, really.
I mean, you're only a few days back from Antigua. How has this changed your bodies physically? I mean, are you fitter than ever, or have you lost sort of muscle mass, fat mass? I don't know.
Oh, it's a really strange recovery process. I mean, you come off the boat and took us a couple of days to be able to walk properly in a straight line again. And then you're reintroducing muscles that you haven't used. I was throwing balls for my little cousin a couple of days later, and the next day I had delayed onset muscle soreness in my shoulder sort of thing, which I never thought you would do because you'd use it. In terms of body weight, I lost 7 kg.
Yeah, 12 kilos for me.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And Charlie only lost 3.
Yeah.
Delayed Christmas dinner is what you need.
Absolutely.
We're running out of time, but I know you've raised tens of thousands of pounds, and people can still find it online if they want to add to it, can't they?
They can. The Just Giving page is still open. We're very close to £100,000 from Macmillan Cancer Support. We're also raising money for our regimental charities who do amazing work with serving soldiers and veterans, and that's on Just Giving.
That's brilliant. Rob and Rob, thank you so much. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Right, no Antiguan weather for us here, Sally.
Oh no, I don't know how well we'd fare on a boat, do you?
We'd get on though.
Well, we'd get on. We wouldn't stop talking.
We wouldn't get very far.
No rowing would
happen. That's the problem.
But anyway, weather, because that's what I'm meant to be talking about, it's going to turn cold as we go through this week. Do not put your warm weather gear away. It's going to get chilly. Here we go.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus, the renewable energy company.
Hello again and a very good evening to you. Hope you had a great start to the week. Michael did. You must have done with that amazing view there. Thank you for that. So tomorrow, a little bit brighter than today, but it does turn a bit damp later on in the afternoon and evening. So just watch out for that. From Wednesday onwards, pretty dry and settled. However, it's going to be a little bit chillier as we go through towards the end of the week. We'll come on to that in just a moment. First of all, let's start off with the detail for this evening. And there may well be some mist and fog forming in a few spots as we go through the night, but we're going to see that breeze picking up overnight, and so hopefully that will clear a lot of it by the time we get to tomorrow morning. Temperatures dropping down to those mid-single figures, so chilly but certainly not frosty as we start the day tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow with your sunrise at 7:30, not a bad day. There's still quite a lot of cloud, but hopefully it'll be a bit higher than today, so you'll get some brightness and maybe even a few glimmers of sunshine coming through. And the temperatures too, they're a little bit milder. We've got highs of 9 to 11 degrees, but it is going to be a bit breezier tomorrow. And then if you're heading out later on the afternoon and evening, just watch out for this light rain making its way from east to west to east even. It might just catch you out, but hopefully nothing too heavy. It clears as we go through the evening. And then if we take you into the outlook, you can see that things are going to turn a bit chillier. We start to develop a bit of the easterly coming in. High pressure keeps things settled, but those temperatures are going to start to drop down as we go through the week. So you can see them there on the chart, coming down by day and by night, possibly the return of frosts, but at times a little bit of sunshine in the outlook too. That's your forecast for now.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Your new friends might like it being a bit damp tomorrow afternoon then.
Oh, my new friends, the frogs. Do you know, I had such an interesting day. It was great. Firstly, because I got to put an outfit on, a little fancy dress outfit. Always a pleasure, never a chore. And secondly, because I got to see these frogs that London Zoo have rescued from the other side of the world. An amazing story. Take a look at this.
You might be wondering what these Chilean forests have to do with us here in London. The answer was precious little until now. But here's your connection: a tiny frog and a big leap of faith at London Zoo.
Sam, so you're not so much rolling out the red carpet for these frogs as the biohazard suits, is that right?
Absolutely.
The Zoological Society for London are on a rescue mission to save the Darwin frog, and biosecurity is everything.
Well, it's a look. So this is what you wear minus the scarf.
Minus the extra touches now.
Named after the man who first found them, Darwin frogs are on the verge of extinction, as this film they've made explains.
And it is vulnerable to an amphibian pandemic that is sweeping the globe. Chytrid fungus.
London Zoo were part of the team who set off through the rainforests to find the elusive frogs.
After several hours in the forest, Chris spots something.
Frog. Got him. Got him.
In the end, more than 50 frogs made the 7,000-mile journey to London Zoo, which will be their new home while they find a solution to the fungi.
You guys grow up, you dream of being zookeepers, and here you are seeing a creature that Darwin found for the first time. Was that a very special moment?
Incredibly special. It was an amazing situation, amazing thing to see.
Since being here, 30 froglets have been born via an eye-catching process involving the male.
The male comes across, takes up the young into their vocal sac and basically incubates that little larvae in there until the youngster is ready to emerge and come out as a fully formed tiny little frog.
That's incredible. Yeah.
You can see two green specks in there.
Oh, I can see them.
Despite the ability to be a bit of a princess at times, even I have my limits.
I don't think I'll be kissing this frog, by the way, Sam. I hope that's all right with you.
There's a lot to kiss.
That's true, it's a lot to get round.
I wouldn't want to single one out.
No. One must be fair.
How long it will take to find a solution for these frogs is unknown, but London is becoming home away from home until the population can bounce back. Sally Williams, ITV News at London Zoo.
Sally not picking favourites there. Right, that is it. The evening news is next with Mary, but from all of us on the London team, thank you for watching and have a lovely Monday evening. Bye-bye.